Well, welcome everybody. Happy Friday, episode 28 of Playing with Perspective, the suspended animation podcast. And I'm very excited to have a lovely lady in the studios today. Her name is Maria Micallef. And we're going to be chatting all about NDIS and Specialist Disability Accommodation as a powerful property investment opportunity. So I'm very excited because this is a whole new area for me. And for everybody that's wondering who Maria is, Maria has 25 years experience in sales and marketing. And at the core of all she does is the desire to help people create a successful income stream. Now more than ever, passive income is incredibly important. And through wise investments in property, much needed cash flow can help offset losses and reductions in salaries and wages. So we're going to be chatting about this very interesting opportunity that is specialist disability accommodation. But before we do that, I just want to hand over to Maria to say hello to the audience here this morning. How are you, Maria?
Hi, Darren. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure.
I love the title of your podcast.
Oh, thank you. Playing with
Perspective. We've got alliteration happening.
I love it. Because I
started
as a photographer. And I thought, I'm going to put together a name that has some photography term in it. And we talk about perspective a lot in photography, but something that can be much broader and can allow me to do whatever I want. So that's kind of where it's headed.
It's a good word. Perspective. It's all in how you look at things, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in this time. So
Terrific.
tell us a bit more about you.
Well, that's a real broad statement, isn't it? You warned me you were going to do this, and what can I say? Look, you're talking to somebody who has a real zest for life, and I say that because I have so many passions and interests that sometimes people find it tricky keeping up with me. So a couple of things that personally I really enjoy doing is, in addition to helping people, is I love performing. So I love to sing, dance, and act. And have done many things on stage, which I've enjoyed. And that's not happening right now, though.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I really feel for the theatre people at the moment, not being looked after so much with these packages doled out by the government, and hopefully that's something they can rectify. So I'm really feeling for all my theatre peeps. And I also really love a good run. I've been running since I was a kid. So again, in this current climate, I'm seeing a lot of people out there running around or walking and spending some quality time in the outdoors, which I think is fantastic. Great way to clear the mind. So I like to have a good run.
It is. I just came back from a little walk as well. It was nice to get out, get some fresh air, reset, and get ready for this podcast.
Yeah, good way to get started, isn't it? Get started for the day.
So I thought let's launch in and chat about this very interesting topic that it's brand new to me. So I'm really, looking forward to getting into all this content. So what exactly is a specialist disability accommodation?
It is a mouthful, isn't it? But we have to say it so you know what it is. But that's why I just say SDA. So we'll say SDA from now on, because we've said Specialist Disability Accommodation at least 6 times. Yes. So now we'll say just SDA, okay? So this fabulous initiative, SDA, is part of the NDIS, another abbreviation. And the NDIS is, as people may know, the National Disability Insurance Scheme. And this was introduced in 2016 with a view to helping people with disabilities. Right. So more than 4 million Australians around the country are benefiting from this funding that's coming from the federal government. Wow. And it's a bipartisan initiative as well. So both governments are in, I'm not going to say cahoots, that's not the right word, but they're both in agreement. They're both in agreement to keep this in play no matter who's in power, which is a very encouraging thing. So for the next 20 years, $22 billion per year is being allocated to the NDIS to support this group of Australians.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It is fantastic. Now, the SDA specifically is focusing on accommodation for people with disabilities. And we've got like 28,000 Australians who are looking for affordable housing and housing that meets their needs. Because at the moment, many of them are just living in below par conditions. So more than 6,000 are in nursing homes right now, which, as you can appreciate, is not ideal given the environment we're in. And others are living in hospitals with their parents, and they're not getting the dignity and the freedom that they really do deserve. So that's why this is an incredible initiative. And the beautiful thing about it is that the government is providing $700 million per year to provide new housing or renovations to suit the needs of people with disabilities. And the wonderful thing is that for the new home builds, it gives investors a terrific opportunity to make a high return on investment. And I'll go into that, while also helping with people with disabilities. So an SDA home, just to explain what that is it's typically 3 to 4 bedrooms housing 2 to 3 people, and that's with a disability. So 2 to 3 people with a disability and a carer. So that can be one setup, or it might just be 1-to-1 in a dual complex situation. Right. Now, different home designs are actually offered in that way to suit different needs. Now, there are all sorts of different categories of people with disabilities, from full spinal support to the lesser debilitated people. And the layouts provide tenants a lovely place to live independently, with dignity. They can live with people their own age, or if they prefer and they're a little bit older, like in their 30s and late 30s and 40s, they might want to have their own space. So that's where there's a little bit of flexibility with it.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's pretty amazing. And this was new to me. I learned about this last year when I started working with the company. Now, these homes are built strong and sturdy to withstand the pressures that people with disabilities can have. So if they have the odd break, and we've got protections in place, double glazed windows and perspex covers over TVs, the walls of these homes. This is the sort of specs that we are working towards. So they're built strong, similar to the walls of a prison cell. Sounds awful, but looks attractive. So they're designed to be aesthetically pleasing, but at the same time really durable, so they're unbreakable. And they're designed with space in mind, allowing for wheelchair accessibility and also space for the wheelchairs to move around, and everything is compliant with the Livable Housing Australia. So we're building something of quality that looks attractive, that an able-bodied person can live in, but that will also meet the needs of people with disabilities.
Do some of them have little lifts in them, little mini elevators?
Not these homes, no. The ones that we specifically build. So you might have that in an apartment setup, or typically if they don't have lifts, what they'd have to do is offer them ground floor accommodation. So with the house and land packages, if anything, we're being very careful to make sure it has to be 100% level and flat. So there's no gradient or incline of any kind where a wheelchair can roll away. So these homes are pretty much one floor.
Wow.
And so, yeah, they're good sized pieces of land and large enough to accommodate their needs. And what I really like is that the carer does live with the people with disabilities, and everyone has their own room, their own bathroom. Well, that's the way we design them anyway. So they're highly desirable homes to live in.
How easy is it for people as part of the NDIS scheme to get this opportunity to live in one of these places?
Well, they do apply to receive this accommodation benefit, and I guess if they meet the criteria, so everyone has the same opportunity to apply, and they just need to meet the criteria and go through the NDIS channel to receive the funding. Okay. At the moment, 28,000 have been approved to get the funding. People have to be under the age of 65. And we're finding that a lot of the applicants are in that younger age bracket, anywhere from their 20s through to their mid-40s is a large group of them. But yeah, up to the age of 65.
Wow, that's fantastic. And we'll probably get into this later on, but I just thought this is a great opportunity in a way for landlords and owners, because they don't have to worry about rental issues. They know that they're going to get paid.
You've nailed it, absolutely. So, in this current climate, it's very difficult to be, certain of any property doing well out there. when we look at property investments generally, a lot of work, a lot of research goes into understanding what area will be the boom area or what town. And we're always looking for the key thing that ultimately drives it, which is demand. And then you step back from demand and it's about, well, what's going to create demand? Work opportunities.
Yep.
To have work opportunities, you need an infrastructure. So you need facilities like schools and hospitals and parks and that sort of thing in place. And you might then also be looking at what sort of developments will be happening, businesses moving in where workers need to come in. So as the environment is reacting to what's going on in socioeconomic circumstances, council builds and developments, it's all about ultimately getting people into these locations because it's the demand that drives the need for accommodation, right? And that's why we go to these places to get a good return on investment. The wonderful thing about this program is this initiative with SDA, we're purpose building the homes where the tenants actually live. There's no guesswork involved. We're liaising with the carers. We know where they live, where their parents are, and their infrastructure is already set up. Wow. We're sourcing the land near them and building a home to their specifications. So not only do we have a huge demand of 28,000 people knocking on the door to get in, we're also building in the locations where they are now. So we don't determine that. The demand drives it, and that reassures the investor knowing they've got a tenant, but also a tenant who really isn't going anywhere, nor is this initiative. Because they're in it for the long haul. We actually call them forever homes because when you've got a brand new place that's fitted out exactly as you would want it, and you've just come from a nursing home, I'm sure that's a massive upgrade for them.
Absolutely. And so these can be anywhere in Australia, absolutely anywhere.
They can be. Now, the NDIS have different setups in each state, and it's also about recognising the value of land. So, you know, renovations are happening everywhere and new homes have been built in certain locations. For us, we're focusing on Queensland and working with the NDIS there and the carers there. And, you know, we've got the full infrastructure in place so that we can get people set up in different areas of Queensland where obviously the land isn't as high in price. And again, that offers a really good return to the investor. So to give an idea for those people interested in investing, you know, you're looking at a home and land package of anywhere between 600 and 650K. And from there, you're going to receive roughly a return of $100,000 per annum, $2,000 per week. That's cash positive.
Wow.
So, you know, when it comes to investing, people either are looking for one or the other. It's typically cash flow or capital growth. Now, in this day and age, where we are right now, cash flow is invaluable. And when you're going to be sourcing income from this investment that equates to a well-paid job, it makes a lot of sense. You know, people ask me, what about capital growth? Well, we can advise on that as well based on the different locations. And obviously there'll be a bit of capital growth. But in this case, we're talking about an initiative running for 20 years, providing income of $100,000 per annum.
I love it.
You do the math.
Absolutely.
That's like $2 million.
Yeah, it's a very different way of thinking about investing, but a very viable way. Just have to change your way of thinking a little.
Well, and there are people already doing that. You know, they're using property as an income source, and those people who planned ahead and aren't working right now, they're living off the income coming from their properties. They're positively gearing.
Yep.
You know, I remember this negative gear being a real term that was popular and everyone thought that'd be great to drive the tax down.
Yep.
But the reality is when you're dealing with a new build, you're actually getting amazing tax benefits with depreciation. You're getting a new home that's highly desirable. You're building where there's demand. And, you know, you've got warranties, 6-year warranty on the build and a number of benefits that come from it to make it a real good source of cash over the next, in this case, 20 years.
So we've kind of like, you've given us so many benefits and reasons why this is such a good investment. Is there anything else that you haven't covered why this would be such a great investment? Well,
yeah, look, I'll just explain, you know, people are saying, look, I've even had someone say to me, oh, it's too risky. You can't get that sort of income. So what I've learned You know, I also thought that's pretty amazing. How is that possible?
Where's the
And
catch?
this is what I found. What's that?
Like, where's the catch?
Like, what? How is that possible, right? But it's amazing, isn't it, what the government can find when we need money? Look at the situation we're in now. But, you know, this initiative ultimately, I think, is really saving the government in some respects. So that's why they're putting money into it. And that fund, that $700 million per year, well, what they're doing is they're actually giving participants 3 to 4 times the usual rental income. And that's how they're incentivizing investors to get in, because they're getting more rental income than they would from a normal property. So all of a sudden, instead of getting a 5% yield, you're getting 15% for that reason. And then there are government rebates with 25% of the pension to that participant coming to you as an investor. And we also have the rental contribution scheme as well. So there are all these things that the government is doing to encourage it. And I'm pleased to say that Anthony, our director, has the ear of the federal minister as well. And so, you know, everyone is very keen to make this work. And I guess the difference with our company is that, you know, a lot of people are looking to get in on this scheme. In our case, as a provider to investors, we do have the end-to-end solution.
Lovely.
So, so people who are nervous perhaps and have never invested before can be reassured that they're going to be looked after from the start to the finish, because we have worked consistently in this program for 2 years, so we understand it better. Yeah. We can meet some of those interesting challenges. We face it on behalf of the investors. I don't have to worry about it. So what that means is we can help them with the home loan process, getting it through and advising them the best way to do it. We also have a great conveyancing team, and all these services we provide, we don't make money from them. It's purely to facilitate a streamlined service for the investor.
What about things like legal and, you know, documentation, and, you know, you help them with all that as well, if they need?
Absolutely. So, you know, we've designed a home loan specifically for this, and if there are other mortgage brokers who need assistance with that, well, we can assist them with it as well. We have the conveyancing, the legal, we have the finance expert in-house. Even when it came to the properties, behind me, what you're seeing is actually a home we've designed. So that's part of the process as well. We liaise with the people with disabilities, with the carers, get the specifications, and we design the homes that then is used to guide the construction team. So they're building to those specifications. And so, you know, all the way through from sourcing the land, the construct, getting the tenants, and then we've got a team of property managers that we found will also look after the interests of the clients. So we have that service as well. So really end to end to make it a happy marriage between a person with disability, an amazing home, and then a terrific investment for the individual.
Wow, fantastic. I mean, that is just, you know, open up my eyes totally to this whole scheme. And, you know, changed my way of thinking in terms of how to invest, different ways to invest. And I can imagine that in this period right now, you're probably pretty busy.
We actually are still busy. You know, people would think now's not a good time to invest. I disagree. Now is a terrific opportunity. So it's just about being smart about it. And, you know, we advise people, you know, here's a tip for some people to consider. You know, have a look now, if you actually own property or you have a mortgage on your home, look at the value of your home, look at the value of any property you've invested in, and then work out your equity. Because you've got money, especially for people who buy their own home and have their dream home, you know, it's just, we're paying back those mortgages, but it's money that's just sitting there that could be working for you. Yep. So you can use that, and we can look at your other income streams to help you qualify for an amazing opportunity like this.
Fantastic, Maria. So I'd love to get into some detail, and I know you've prepared a case study or two to show us.
If it's okay, I'm going to share my screen. Let me just get an image up for you. Here we go. So share the screen, and I'm going to show you, it is the home that's behind me. Okay. Nice. So it's pretty gorgeous, isn't it?
It's very beautiful.
It's a nice design. It's lovely. So you can see how flat, absolutely flat it is. Now, this is actually a dual occupancy. It's two townhouses side by side sharing a common wall. And this is designed for those people who don't want to be in a group. So we've got homes, like we said, that accommodate 3 people. And, you know, the young people would love to stay with others and connect. This is for people, I guess, who are a little older and want their private space. So one of the homes is 2 bedrooms, and that's for the resident, the person with disability, and then one for the carer. They've each got their own bathroom, and there's a garage. And then the other bedroom is just for one resident. So one of the people with disabilities can have that space. Now, their carer looks after them during the day, and then at night, the live-in carer is actually looking after both of them. So it ends up being a really amazing situation for people who like their privacy, and they have their freedom and comfort in this new space. Yeah. Now, just looking at the property, I have to put my glasses on because I don't remember the numbers by heart. So this is where you can see it's you know, just over 600,000, this property. Yeah. Okay, so you've got the construction price, the land, everything is really spelt out. And then we've got a calculation of the income coming through per year. So the gross rental yield is 14.8%, and you're looking at $105,000 when the home is tenanted with the 2 people. That's per annum.
It's incredible.
It's quite extraordinary. Now, if I flip to the next screen, will it work?
Let's have a look.
Hang on a minute. Oh,
yep, I think so.
There it is. Okay. So I just wanted to show everyone that these figures aren't just magically pulled out of the air. We've actually got a calculator, and it's an SDA price calculator that's been put together by the NDIS so that people can have a bit of an idea of really what to expect. And within that, you put in the type of building, the type of home construct, any extra features which might add value to the home, its location. And from that, we work out, oh, I've gone too far. So you'll see that $45,000, that's the income coming in per tenant through the rent. So this is just for one tenant now. And then you've got the rent contribution we mentioned. Yep. So in total, you'll see at the bottom there, $52,896 is coming in income from this one participant.
Wow.
That's per year. Right. So when both sides are tenanted, and that's our role, we've got that gap happening, then that you multiply that by 2, and that's where the 105,000 comes from as a pretty close estimate. So that's a gross figure, and you know, it's more than enough to pay back the loan, service the loan, and at the same time, you know, help out with your actual mortgage or any other expenses you have.
Absolutely. And this one, for example, was in Leichhardt, I think it was, wasn't it?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it is.
One of my favourite suburbs, or the Greater
Leichhardt, which is in the Ipswich area.
Ah, lovely.
Queensland, yeah.
Ah, sorry, in Queensland, of course.
I know. You're thinking Sydney when you saw Leichhardt.
It's Queensland, okay.
That's why I said in Queensland. My goodness me, in Leichhardt, you wouldn't get anywhere near these sorts of bridges.
Fair enough. Okay. Wow. Awesome.
So hopefully that's, I'll take you back to the nice looking home. It's pretty special.
That's lovely. And
so that's one we've designed. So we've got, you know, a team member who has that sort of experience. You know, we got the information from the carers. We refer that to her. She created something. In the end, we actually went back to the government and said, look, based on everything you're asking for, it sounds like this might suit your purposes. And 5 days later, sure enough, they said, yeah, that's perfect. So that's why we're rolling out these townhouses as well now.
And how long do they take to build these things?
6 months on average is the length of time, which then enables us to get them tenanted so that while the build is happening.
Right. So generally that time period of building is enough time for you to get it tenanted, and then you're up and running once it's ready.
Absolutely. And if for any unforeseeable reason that wasn't the case, well, you know, we're able to get them tenanted with regular tenants, and it can still receive a 5% yield or something to that effect. And until we get those disabled people qualified in. So, you know, sometimes a little bit of red tape, but like we say, even if it means 6 months delay on a 20-year program, the the reward is worth the wait.
Wow.
In
And
that instance.
are there a lot of companies like Property Investment Store that are in this space around Australia, or are there only a few?
Look, there are there are a number of companies working in this area or investment consultants talking about it. I know of at least one other company that is doing it, but I don't think they've got the setup quite the way we do. And I do recommend when people are exploring this through other channels, just to be asking the questions to check that they have the infrastructure in place, because a lot of people are talking about the benefits of SDA, and they are very real and they're fantastic. But unless they can actually service what they're talking about, which means providing the types of homes that are going to be compliant, and then finding the tenants, well, that's where the challenges lie for a lot of people.
That's right. It can be conceptually
that's where we're well ahead. Yeah. Sorry?
Conceptually, it can be great, but unless it's executed properly, it could all be a disaster.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the execution just isn't there. But you know, people can see for themselves, and you know, I think there are a lot of smart people out there. But just ask questions before, you know, entering into anything. And at any point, people can contact us. And what's really cool about Property Investment Stories, for the people based in Sydney, they actually have a showroom in Gymea where you can go in. It's very unusual. You can actually go in and see for yourself the sort of property you'd be investing in.
Oh, nice.
And it's not typically something you see with property investment. You know, it's always just virtual and very in the background and in quiet corners, whereas here we've really put it street front so people can see for themselves and walk in and touch and feel a fit out to get a sense of what they're investing in.
Wow, I mean, that's fascinating. I mean, I'm still just quite taken aback by the returns on those properties.
Oh, it's 15% return. It is unheard of. It is incredibly unique in property. I mean, there was a massive boom in Sydney before the Olympics, where I know investors then did extremely well. But you know, this is something everyone can take advantage of, and it's transparent. It's there for everyone to see, and it's there for a very long time. And that's what I like. It's not something that's just going to come and go. It's not one of those timing things in the cycle where you've got to get in or you miss it. In this case, you know, in terms of sourcing land, definitely we're using that sort of research. But in terms of the actual returns from government, 20 years, they're there.
Sensational, Maria. I think that's fascinating. I mean, and if you had to leave the audience with a couple of little tips on how to go about this process, I mean, what would you say? What would be the best way to go about this process?
Well, I alluded to it earlier. So a good thing to do, and this is something I've done personally, is, you know, I've got equity in my home. So research the value of your home, if you have one, or check out what sort of income you've got coming in from existing properties or your own salaries. And for people who have homes, you can actually check the value on a website like realestate.com or Domain. Type in your address and they'll give you a range figure. I always go for the middle. And then, you know, have a look at how much you owe on your loan and see how much equity you've got.
Right.
Because it could be that equity is the stepping stone to get into an investment like this.
It's going to be,
you know, banks, what's that?
Yeah, an investment that'll be geared positive from day one.
From day one. And, you know, banks want you to be able to service the loan. They don't always feel comfortable with the fact that, okay, you're going to get 3 times the normal rental income. They treat it like a normal house and land package. Right. And that's where we can assist people with how they can, you know, shape the figures to get the loan through and get them underway.
Wow, fantastic, Maria.
Yeah, so if people are interested and want to consult, they're more than welcome to approach us. I guess we'll put up on the screen. Well, I didn't actually do that, but we can put it up on the.
I'll put in the show notes some links to how to reach you. But maybe just
people are more than welcome to have a free consult. And this is another wonderful thing about what we do. There's no cost to our service, so it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Awesome. And so, if people want to actually get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Well, they can ring me on. Well, actually, they can email me, Maria@PI Store.
Okay. Okay, awesome. And I'll make sure I put that in the show notes for everybody. But that is sensational, Maria. It's totally opened up my eyes. I didn't even know something like this existed.
And yeah, I think it's that new that a lot of people are still unaware of it. And that's why we really wanted to get the message out there. You know, there's a lot of stress out there, a lot of anxiety around finances. People are concerned whether they're going to have their jobs tomorrow. You know, finding another income stream is so important. And I hope out of this, people realize that a job is just a job. And if that's all you're relying on,
definitely,
it's dangerous territory. It really is. You know, long before something like a pandemic, you know, you could lose your job just like that with a redundancy.
Yeah.
And I know some people are feeling it in that way as well before a pandemic. So don't rely just on your job as an income stream is another bit of advice I want to share. Find another way to get some income in.
Absolutely. And I can imagine, you know, obviously go and talk to your your accountant, talk to your brokers, talk to your banks, you know, make sure you do all the financial modeling, make sure you're happy. And
yeah, definitely talk to your financial advisor about what's possible, or your mortgage broker. Because they're always looking out for their clients really well.
Absolutely. So this must be a new stream that they're putting into their portfolio as well of offerings for mortgage brokers.
Absolutely, and for financial planners as well. And you know, if people are like, well, you know, they need some assistance with that, and they're looking for a good financial planner, advisor, or mortgage broker, we can assist with that as well. So you know, we're here to help get people earning income. It's what it's all about. You know, the wealth shouldn't be just for the top 1% who are financially free. I think, you know, we can all have a piece of it. It's just about taking the plunge and making a decision. You've got to make a decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is just, it's another great investment opportunity, and you have to weigh it up against, you know, everything else you do. But, you know, talk to everybody that is going to help you make those decisions and all the specialists in that area. But it can be an extremely lucrative investment with incredible returns. So that's totally opened up my eyes. Amazing.
Absolutely. People are benefiting from now, and, you know, you're doing something really extraordinary by helping people, you know, get a home that they can call their own as well.
Fantastic. Well, Maria, thank you so much for being on the show today.
My pleasure.
To have you and share this great opportunity on a Friday.
Nice way to kick into the weekend, and people can have a little play with their finances and do a bit of research.
Absolutely. And if anybody's interested, I urge them to contact Maria, and I'm going to put the website and her email address in the show notes so you can have a look, and feel free to contact her, and I'm sure she and her team can walk you through how this all works and, you know, answer any questions.
You can send some information packs as well that connects with our website that specialises in the whole area. Definitely.
Oh, awesome. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with before we finish?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for this. This is my first podcast.
You did extremely well.
I was so nervous this morning. Like, I know I can talk, but it's still weird when there's no audience, okay? Remember, I'm used to being on a stage.
That's right. No, you've done extremely well.
No, look, that's because of you, Darren. This was very comfortable and relaxed, and it just felt like a conversation. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on your amazing podcast and your show, and I look forward to hopefully doing more with you in the future.
Absolutely. I would love to do another one. You know, well, if anybody has, that's a really good point. If anybody has any particular questions or things that they'd like us to continue to explore, we can have Maria back to do another one. So feel free to email me, darren@suspendedanimation.com.au if you've got any particular questions, and, you know, we'd love to have Maria back. So everybody out there, have a great Friday and have a great weekend, and we'll definitely be back next week for loads of new podcast episodes. And Maria, thank you again for joining us. You were amazing. And all the audience out there, bye for now, and we'll see you very, very soon.